The Iron Age. Start. As the civilizations in the Mediterranean and Near East collapsed mysteriously during the end of the Bronze Age, a new material was discovered which would shape mankind for ages to come. Iron is one of the most abundant minerals in the Earth's crust, making it a perfect catalyst for change in the next stage of human history. Iron helped humans develop sturdier and more efficient tools and weapons, which would lead to significant change in how humans made, maintained, kept, and secured their communities. It is the transition from the prehistoric era, defined by small communities with little to no shared culture, to the start of the historical stage where empires and modern society emerged. Let's travel back to the past as we discuss the Iron Age in the lens of 4 different regions.
Ancient Near East. Ancient Near East is considered as one of the cradles of civilization, which started around 4000 BC with the rise of the first state Sumer in Mesopotamia. The independent rise of the states and empires in this region led to the development of familiar institutions of civilization such as social classes, centralized government, religion, and warfare. Iron can be traced back even before the Iron Age in 1200 BC. Iron from meteorites has already been used by various groups within the region. The meteoritic iron requires no melting during that time. The Hittite state was said to have a monopoly of iron around 3500 BC. However, iron was only used as a decorative element during that time, which was as expensive as silver and gold. Some of the examples of iron artifacts before the Iron Age. The iron beads from Egypt and a gold dagger with iron discovered from the Valley of Kings. However, the state collapsed during the Late Bronze Age. The trade of knowledge between the Hittite state and other states spread the technique of smelting of iron around the region. During this time, iron was used for 2 major reasons. First, for agriculture, and second, for weaponry. Often artifacts during this period were replicates of its bronze counterpart. From rarity to being a commodity, iron became common to different states around early 1000 BC. The metal was used in agricultural implements, mills, and arrowheads, as well as ceramics. This was evident since iron was stronger, more durable, and lasts longer than its other counterparts. Iron also took a major role in warfare during that time, especially the discovery of steel. Iron was much cheaper, stronger, and durable than bronze, and the discovery of steel made it more instrumental to various empires. Ironworking helped a lot to improve the quality and strength of the metal. Example of how iron was used during that time was the establishment of the Persian Empire around 500 BC. The Persians used a much sharper and stronger steel weapons than their bronze and stone counterparts. They are also known for being first to develop an armored cavalry. The use of iron armors and weapons could result in the collapse of the ruling class as raiders start to loot, burn, and conquer cities. Europe.
Iron Age serves as the period wherein iron replaced bronze and stone in the construction of tools and weapons such as axes, swords, and hoes. Ironworking was introduced to Europe from the east through the Caucasus Mountains in the late 11th century BC, spreading to the west and north for over 500 years. Iron Age in Central Europe is also classified into 2 periods. The early Hallstatt period associated with the Celts in the west and Illyrians in the east, and the Latin period wherein most of archaeological findings and historical records are present through both Greek and Roman sources. The development of iron smelting and working was the starting point of the huge technological revolution in ancient Europe. Early European iron techniques used low-temperature smelters where the iron ore, charcoal, or other fuel were fed into the smelter, which operates around 900 Celsius to produce a block of crumbly, softer iron sponge, which was transferred into a forge where it was hammered and purified into wrought iron. The development of iron technology brought upon newer, stronger, and more advanced agricultural tools and techniques in the overall agricultural process, from planting, harvesting, protection from the environment, storage, and preparation. People used arable farming and pastoral farming to sustain little societies that formed around the land. Another new innovation in agriculture during this time was the rotary quern, which helped grind grains for flour. Most societies that emerged in the European Iron Age settled in hill forts. Hill forts are were utilized due to their tactical and resource advantages over low-lying societies which had to rely on walls and ditches for defense. There were 2 types of societies: civitas, confederation of tribes, and pagus, sub-tribes. Political command and social leadership were not assigned to a king but to magistracy, elected annually from an oligarchical group. Magistrates are mostly male, but some women can be chosen as leaders. Another significant position in these societies are ascribed to religious and educational specialists, druids. Specialists with different degrees of skill: musicians, craftspeople, warriors, farmers, and poets. A few of the skilled jobs Iron Age people held. Evidence from graveyards shows that a large fraction of the male population occupies the warrior role.
South Asia. Iron Age in South Asia is a period of social transformations to a developed community, mainly the formation of urban society that spreads throughout the region. It is still hard to identify the socio-cultural developments of the Iron Age in Asia, specifically in the south, where there is a lack of well-established chronology information, thus affecting its overall history. The introduction of iron in South Asia, it was classified between two major theories, which are the external. It indicates that iron was introduced to us by the Aryans who migrated from West Asia, that puts a date at 1000 BC, and indigenous origin theory, which emphasizes on the rich iron ore in different parts of South Asia. In North India, its urban society came out in the mid-1st millennium BC. Its full presence through iron objects across various parts of the region can be marked not less than 1000 to 600 BC. Evidence found in Ganga Valley shows the spread of iron use in the region where smelting technology was used, which is a method of extracting the iron from its ore. In South India, iron was commonly used in morgues and graves. The methods of smelting and forging was recognized when an iron production workshop was identified at a settlement and graveyard area in Malay, Maharashtra. Iron objects used are composed of weapons, agricultural implements and tools. The Iron Age in Southeast Asia was composed of two components regarding its setting, which included mainland and islands of Southeast Asia. In Vietnam, iron sources were generally associated with the Chinese. The first appearance of iron in Vietnam dated in this zone at 400 to 100 BC in forms of bimetallic spears, iron blades, and cast iron hoes. Specifically, iron evidence from excavations includes two particular cultural zones in the country: Dongsan culture, which does not have a primary source of iron, and Sa Han culture that provides more evidence contributing to the Iron Age. In Thailand, more archaeological works have been discovered. Their beginning of Iron Age was dated back to 1600 to 1200 BC, and the first appearance of iron marked in mid-1st millennium BC. There are two divisions of Iron Age sites, the Central Thailand and Korat Plateau. Lastly, in Malaysia, there is less archaeological context of iron. Additionally, there are no evident excavations that can be examined. In this country, they considered both Bronze Age and Iron Age as one because they are connected because of the lack of copper in this country. Africa.
The Iron Age came to Africa at around the same time as it reached Western Europe by the 1st millennium BCE, after iron technology was developed in the continent. It is also known as the Early Iron Age Industrial Complex. Africa was not prefaced by the Bronze or Copper Age. All metals, however, were all brought together at around the same time. The use of iron over stone came with its efficiency as a tool for cutting trees or quarrying stone. Ironworking was a skill that spread from different communities as the advantages of using various metals, particularly iron. African people used a bloomery process to extract the metal from its ore, which involved blasting air periodically by the use of hand-operated bellows to remove the masses of metal called blooms, which was done in a cylindrical clay furnace with charcoal. David Killick, an African archaeologist, believes that the huge variety of bloomery furnaces in different parts of Africa was due to people adapting to environmental and social factors in particular locations. In some parts where there is a scarcity of timber, furnaces were built to be fuel efficient to reduce cost and make operations more sustainable. Whereas, in places where people utilize their time more on different activities, they built labor-efficient furnaces to reduce the number of workers. According to David Phillipson, the origins of the early Iron Age complex or Chifun-Baze complex can be attributed to the migration of Bantu speakers. In the Chifun-Baze, later groups started to build settlements, villages, and monuments. The use of iron tools and weapons enabled systematized agriculture, hunting, and warfare to sustain their civilization. Iron became attributed to their spiritual beliefs. The forge or workshop also functioned as a ritual shrine and sanctuary. Blacksmiths were seen as powerful beings, admired and feared. They are also called iron masters and obtained the high Kwai-Sai religious status and were given some degree of political power they can impose on their neighbors. Africa had no copper or Bronze Age. Iron, despite being a valuable commodity in the Iron Age, is still not as valuable as copper. Copper was highly valued because of its color and luster. It was used for jewelries like rings, bracelets, and to decorate personal belongings such as embellishing knife handles, spear shafts, and shields.
In conclusion,
the discovery of iron and the Iron Age has changed human civilization forever. It has shaped culture and traditions, way of life for people from hunting-gathering communities to huge empires and dynasties, spiritual belief systems, trade and commerce, various inventions, social classes, and political power. After industrialists had seen iron's potential for improvement, a better material, steel, which is an alloy made mostly of iron and carbon or other metals, was developed. In the late 1800s, steel was mass-produced for the first time. In today's time, 3,000 years after the discovery of iron, it is the world's most important building material used for equipment, machineries, and infrastructures.